I was kicked out of my own son's house. But the worst part wasn't walking out the door with a suitcase in my hand. It was hearing the words he said as I was leaving. "You're not part of our life anymore." In that moment, I didn't cry, but something inside me died. And at the same time, something much stronger was born. I raised my son alone. His father left when he was still in diapers, never called, never came back. And me, I became everything: mother, father, protector, provider. I worked at a bakery during the day and cleaned houses at night. There were days I fell asleep on the kitchen floor from pure exhaustion, but I never let him go without anything. Not food, not clothes, not love. I remember the day he said, "When I grow up, I'm gonna take care of you." I believed him with all my heart. Years passed. He grew up, got a good job, got married, and I thought I could finally rest. I thought that was the beginning of the good part of my life, but I was completely wrong. After he got married, everything changed. At first, it was small things: late replies, fewer visits, cold answers. Until one day, he called me. "Mom, why don't you come live with us?" My heart filled with joy. I thought, he didn't forget me. I sold some of my things, organized my life, and went. At first, it felt like a dream. Beautiful house, comfortable room. My daughter-in-law, polite, but it didn't last long. She started with small comments. "You leave things messy. That smell of food is too strong. We have a different lifestyle." I tried to adapt, changed my habits, stayed quieter, tried not to be a burden, but it felt like the more I tried, the less I was accepted. My son started changing too. He didn't talk to me like before, always busy, always distant, and always on her side. Until one day, I heard something. I wasn't trying to listen, but I heard. My daughter-in-law said, "I can't stand your mother anymore." And he replied, "I know, me neither." In that moment, I felt erased, like my entire life meant nothing. But the worst was still coming. A few days later, they called me to talk, both sitting there, serious, cold. My son spoke first. "Mom, we think it's best if you leave." I laughed. I thought it was a joke. But he continued, "It's not working." My daughter-in-law added, "You don't fit here." In that moment, I understood. I was no longer family. I was a problem. I packed my things in silence. One suitcase, just one. That's all that was left of my life there. As I was leaving, I looked at him, hoping, maybe, for regret. But he said, "It's better this way." And I left, alone. I spent days not knowing what to do, not knowing where to go, not knowing who I was anymore. But then, something changed. I started remembering who I was before all of this, before being a mother, before living for others. I started over, from zero. I rented a small room, went back to work, but this time I was working for myself. I learned new things, met new people, and for the first time in many years, I felt alive. Months passed, and I wasn't the same woman anymore, until one day I got a message from my son. "Mom, we need to talk." I almost ignored it, But I replied, "About what?" He said, "We're going through a hard time." I already knew what that meant. They needed help. But this time, things were different. I wasn't that silent woman anymore. I agreed to meet. When I arrived, they looked different, worried, nervous. My daughter-in-law couldn't even look me in the eyes. My son spoke. "Mom, we need a place to stay." Silence. I took a deep breath, looked at him, and said, "Do you have somewhere to go?" He lowered his head. "No." So I said, "I do." They looked at each other, relieved. But then I continued, "But you're not staying with me." Shock. Instant. My daughter-in-law finally looked up. "What do you mean?" And I said, calmly, "Just like I didn't fit in your home, you don't fit in my life anymore." Silence. Complete. My son tried to speak, but I finished. "I forgave you, but that doesn't mean I'll be who I used to be." I stood up and walked away. No anger, no pain. At peace. And in that moment, I understood something. Sometimes, the greatest revenge is not making someone suffer. It's showing you don't need them anymore. The ones who discard you never expect how you'll come back.